While over 37,000 addresses have been registered and over 22 million US dollars have been locked up in these new decentralized domain names, there are still over 50% of all possible domain names just waiting to be registered in the new ENS system. What's happening? What does it all mean? What does the future hold? Let's discuss. Hey everybody, I'm Gary Palmer Jr., you're you, together we're minting coins. So I wanted to give an update on the ENS system, the new ENS system, which is releasing decentralized domain names on top of the Ethereum blockchain, on top of the decentralized supercomputer, which is Ethereum. This is really, really exciting. In one of my very first videos, I talked about domain names and how domain names are one of the aspects of the internet that are really interesting to me. A domain name, what's in a name? Everything is in a name. If a rose was known by any other name but the rose, would that rose smell just as sweet? What if that rose was the word for the rose was actually cockroach? How would that rose smell? But, without creating too many of those visuals, let's stick with the roses. These domain names are critical for marketing. And the domain names are critical for language and words that are easily recognizable, not just for people, but also for machines and computers, which like to have spell check and like to categorize keywords and understand the semantic nature of not just the words that we say and the individual meaning of those words, but what is the deeper context with the messages that we're seeking to convey with our community. When the internet first came out, the internet was something where you needed to understand the IP addresses to plug into the browser or the interface, how you're accessing this information. You would have to pop in a long, complicated IP address. It would be difficult to know what that address is, to know what you're looking for, to find that information. But fortunately, after the internet was invented and adoption was well underway, people were questioning everything about this technology and not really understanding the full application. But people realized that we needed domain names, and the domain name system was created, and now it's something that is very commonplace. And I would say 97+% of the world doesn't understand how a domain name is even connected to an IP address, which is where the website is hosted. But it happens through, let's say, GoDaddy. You have a GoDaddy account, and a GoDaddy account, you purchase your domain name, yourname.com, and from that domain name, you say, point it to my hosting, and it just works like magic. That's technically how it works. They just add magic to it, and that's it. It's just you pop it in the browser, you type it in the phone, and it doesn't matter who you are, where you are in the world, your understanding, you're going to get the information that is supposed to get to you. Where does that bring us now? So with this new ENS system, we are 50% of the way through. Nick Johnson just released the week 3 state of ENS earlier this week, and this full release is an 8-week rollout. And so we are, I believe, exactly just past the 50% mark, which is 4 weeks in. And I just wanted to go over a little bit about, a little deeper into the ENS system, see where we're at in the system right now, and just talk about what are the possibilities for the future, where are we now, and what are the next steps. So with that, let's take a peek at the market, look at some information, and let's discuss. Okay, so Starting over here at coinmarketcap.com quickly, just to see where we're at with the market. We have Bitcoin spiking up to 2,400, up 8%. Ethereum down a little bit, which seems to happen when Bitcoin goes up, Ethereum goes down. And then we have a lot of other coins moving with some strong movement. Do things like Ripple and NEM going up, Litecoin up 17%, Monero up 10%, Golem up 11%. So a lot of interesting things, Bytecoin, Stellar Lumens. The market is going up. We're up to a total market cap of $86 billion with over $4 billion in trading over the last 24 hours. And out of all the money inside the crypto space, we're down to 46% of it is just Bitcoin. And we know that waxes and that wanes. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that as we get closer to August and through August with the soft fork and all that forking upgrades. We'll save that for another time. Cool. So here we have this website, ens.codetrack.io. This website is great in terms of getting a high-level overview of what's going on. And so we see right down here that 50.33 of all possible names have been released, even gibberish names that don't make any sense, right? But it's just mathematical, decentralized. There's not really room for judgment. The contract says what the contract says, and with that, in another 4 weeks, every possible variation will be available for anybody to start an auction for that domain name on demand. And so we've had over almost 200,000 auctions started from over 5,700 different public addresses. And it's just a ton of money. So we have over 100,000 Ether locked up for all domain names right now. And this Ethereum is locked up for at least 1 year. After 1 year, people can start releasing domains back into the system. But are they going to want to? How valuable will these become? Assuming that people aren't buying silly names or gibberish names, or just buying names like typo squatting, which is not very cool. Bad karma. The one thing I do wish about this website is just that it was more up to date, because I think that we actually have higher expensive names in this, but maybe not. But this is really interesting to see dark market. Okay, yeah, so dark market. So dark market wasn't here the other day, but it's here now. So dark market was very expensive. 20,000. So the top bid for dark market was 28,000 Ether. That's a lot. And then the second highest bid was 20,000. So that's a very, very expensive ENS domain name. So think about this. If you're questioning if you should get a name for yourself or a name for your business, or is this important? Ford didn't buy Ford.com when domain names first came out, and they just let someone else buy Ford.com, and they let someone else buy, really crazy things like FordSucks.com and things like that for a multi-billion-dollar, brand, a worldwide brand. And so then we see people spending extreme amounts of money for exchange.eth, payment.eth, finance.eth, identity.eth. And it just makes you think, if people are creating this much energy and this much movement with this much momentum pushing forward the ENS system now, and the ENS system grows and everyone that's putting all this money into the ENS system wants it to succeed, and they build on top of these domain names that they purchase, the network effect of the ENS system exploding and completely dominating and changing and altering the course of the evolution of how Ethereum itself works is extremely practical. This is going to divert the river in such a way that just like we can't imagine the internet today without domain names, we're not going to be able to imagine Ethereum in the future without ENS. Personal opinion. So a lot of interesting stuff on Reddit. Just wanted to pop over on Reddit with this one question that I saw come in. What's so special about an ETH domain name? And so this one user is just realizing that there might be a lot of options, but right now it's just used as a redirect for people's payments. So instead of you receiving payment to your long, complicated public address, you can just say send payment to myname.eth or myname.wallets.eth if the owner of wallets.eth sets up that domain to allow anyone to do that, right? Because you can create subdomains and allow other people to use those. So if you own hotels.eth, you could potentially create newyork.hotels.eth. You can create, if you had California.eth, you can create hotels.california.eth. You can create apartments.california.eth. You can create real estate.california.eth. And then you can even go deeper subdomains down from there. So there's a lot of additional websites that can be created, and each of these websites where it's something, just like currently we have google.com, or you might have, do we have like analytics.google.com? Each of those are different websites. And I don't want to go diverge too far off the track right here. And so just at a high level, let's review. With these new ENS domains, you can send them to a payment address as a forwarding address to make it really simple for someone to know where they're sending the money, if that money is going to the right place, because you let them know it's very simply yourname.com, and you let them know ahead of time. These can also be potentially websites with exchanging information connected to swarm sites. So the swarm site system is being developed and allowing people to exchange information. So eventually the ENS names are going to actually allow people to have websites. A third option is that not only can a person control this ENS domain, but you can also give ownership of the ENS domain to a smart contract. You can give it up to a computer, an address on the Ethereum network that's programmed as you articulate it to operate, but the system would manage it itself, and it would automatically sell subdomains, or would automatically create accounts for users and give them either a raw address or an address with the specifications that you require. And so it's sort of really new to understand, but we have to realize that a person can own and operate an address, or the person can give up ownership to a smart contract and have the smart contract own and operate the address. And then if that was to make money, then that, or ether in return, it would just be sent to that person back in return. And also lastly, there could be an entirely new protocol, an entirely new technology that's built on top of the Ethereum blockchain to interface between Ethereum and the ENS system that isn't a current smart contract in its current form. It's not a swarm site. It's not just resolving to a public address. It's something entirely new that will allow people to do things that maybe we can't even imagine. And so just to take a stab at the dark of something that could happen, which I think was mentioned in this post over here, is that we can eventually have with Whisper clients, so this is even separate, is like integrate with a Whisper client to be the future identifiers for email and instant messaging. So in the future, we can potentially use ETH addresses for email, potentially use ETH addresses for instant messaging, for chat, and not just for communication, instant messaging, email, and chat from person to person, but also person to smart contract to smart contract, and of course, person to person. So if the existing domain names with .coms and .nets and .shopping and all that is regular chess, then, or if that's just checkers even, then the ETH domains with all the sophistication and adding on smart contracts and smart contract ownership is really the 3D chess of the domain name, checkers game that that we were playing with the Internet 1.0. So I wanted to go over the Nick Johnson's post, the state of ENS week 3. And so this is a little bit old now. This came out on the 26th, and this is way 4 or 5 days ago. And so when he posted this, he was, we were 40% the way through the soft launch, but now we're 50% of the way through. So there's a 50% chance that the domain name that you want, the decentralized ENS name that you want, is available. I encourage you to consider that. And so we have that the median account only has 2 bids on that account, and the busiest 5 accounts in all the system account for 15% of all bids. So there's 5 accounts out there that are swooping up every possible domain name available. And that's important for you because it's very possible that they're going to be purchasing your name for as little as $2. And then their business is going to be to sell that back to you for a profit. And if you act before them, if this is a domain that you want, if you plan ahead of time, then you could potentially save yourself not only a lot of money, but a lot of planning. And it's not fun when you don't get the perfect name that for your business, or what we're going to get into with what happened to my Ether wallet. Horrible situation with people taking branded names, trademark names. And so, you definitely, I would recommend, want to get ahead of that for yourself, for your family, and for your businesses, or for at least for you to consider that. So Nick is recognizing that the total Ether per day seems to stabilize once they discount the outliers, because we saw there's some couple bids that are just extreme in terms of how much people are bidding on some of these domains. But for the vast majority of names, it's pretty stabilized, pretty stable. And so with the prices, when this was posted, the article goes on to say that the odds of getting a domain name not in the pre-image list for the minimum price remains stable around 90%. So if people know a word to look for, and then if the name gets added to a list, if wallets.com gets added to a list, then more people are going to think about wallets.eth. More people are going to think about that and then go to bid on it. But if it's not on that list, if no one has that list, public, if no one's thinking about it, then you have a 90% chance, a 9 out of 10 chance of getting that domain for the most minimum price possible, 0.01 ETH. And the odds of getting one on the list has increased from 40%, so it was 40% chance of getting it if it was on the list instead of 90, but that has increased to a 65% chance, which is not good. And so Nick Johnson hypothesizes that the reason is because people are using the lists available to scoop up these names at extremely cheap prices, especially when you consider the implications of what these are going to be able to do. Forget 2 years from now and forget 4 years from now. I mean, when domain names came out, even 5 years later, it's, people still weren't getting it. Think about what these are going to be in the technology we can't even imagine 10 years from now when all of this still exists, right? Adoption ecosystem. So Nick Johnson proposed some improvements to reverse resolution that will make it easier for people to have caller ID for their addresses. That's pretty cool. Aragon announced that they've acquired company.eth, and they already have plans and have posted a lot of information in a blog post about how they're going to be allowing anyone to get their name.company.eth and use it with their whole system, which is really interesting. And then there's a lot of other people who are just developing and making really cool tools and guides. So we have ENS Pro DApp. We have this excellent guide for buying ENS domains on Reddit. My Ether wallet released a useful tool for debugging ENS reveals. So just a lot of information online. I encourage you to go to medium.com and follow Nick Johnson. I encourage you to go to reddit.com, make an account, start following some of these threads and subthreads on Reddit. Excuse me. And as I mentioned earlier, or at least alluded to it, disappointingly, my Ether wallet was outbid from myetherwallet.eth by a domain squatter. And Taylor, who's one of the partners and one of the two partners in my Ether wallet, created an amazing write-up and what their plans are for my Ether wallet. So if you're not a typo squatter, I mean that's sort of a waste of money. But if you're a trademark squatter or just a domain squatter who's buying other people's names, who's buying elonmusk.com or .eth, if you're not Elon Musk, you shouldn't be buying elonmusk.eth. And if you're not my Ether wallet, then you shouldn't be buying myetherwallet.eth. And it's just, I don't know. Is it respect? Is it courtesy? Why are people doing that? I don't understand. So I just want to show you a couple examples of some names. And so if we go to etherscan.io, etherscan.io is going to allow us to look up information. And this is really, really helpful for us when we're figuring things out. And so I wanted to look up consensus. This was one of the major ETH domains that were bid on, that were called out in the Medium post we just read. And this was just crazy. So what do we have here? We have 184,000 Ether, which is valued at over $42 million. So it's the New York State jackpot. The second highest bid was 50 Ether, which was $11,000. And look at all these people bidding. Like, why are these people bidding on consensus? It's they don't run consensus unless consensus. Yeah, it's a brand name. All these people are buying it. So in this case, consensus said, I'm guessing this was consensus, and they said there's no way they were going to let this go to some crazy typo squatter bidding 100,000 ETH for their domain. So they just bid a crazy amount for it. And if we look over here at myetherwallet.eth, look at all these people who have bid on myetherwallet.eth, right? It's like this one here I know is Taylor and the owners of my Ether wallet. They bid 20.123456789 after being encouraged to bid 100,000 ETH, or not 100,000, but 100 ETH, or just much, much higher. You have all these people trying to scoop up their domain. And while they bid 20 Ether, the highest bidder bid 101 Ether, and the second highest bidder, of which my Ether wallet wasn't, bid 40 Ether. So it's just crazy that my Ether wallet doesn't get their address. It's really upsetting, and it's for me, it's really disappointing. And I'm not an owner of my Ether wallet, but as a user and as a member of the community, I want my Ether wallet to be owned by my Ether wallet. It's just so hopefully whoever owns my Ether wallet can just maybe work something out with them, and at least for an equal trade of the 40.9876 Ether. I don't know. What do you think? Is that crazy? I mean, what do you think about brand squatting? Is that something that you're interested in, or I don't know. Just it's a waste of money. It's technically illegal, depending on most places in the world. It's bad karma. It's just kind of upsetting for me. And then just wanted to pop over and look at Singapore. So Singapore is a major city in the world. What is the city? The Republic. Country. Sometimes referred to as the Lion City, the Garden City, the Little Red Dot, the sovereign city-state in Southeast Asia. Cool. So, capital Singapore, capital city-state. So I guess it's both city and a state, so I don't feel so stupid. Cool. And so the highest bid here, because in Southeast Asia and China and Japan, I know the number 8 is very popular, and they bid 8,888.8 ETH, which is $2 million. And the second highest was 356 ETH, or $80,000. It's a lot of money to be going for one of these city domains, but it sort of makes sense because if you think about it, you could have hotels.singapore.eth, you could have real estate dot, food dot, restaurants dot, you could have me dot, and then allow anyone to get their name dot me dot Singapore. And it's really, really interesting. I wonder who got this, who spent that much money on it. Last but not least, I just also wanted to show you the ENS bot. So the ENS bot is on Twitter, and this is one of the ways that people are finding out about new domain names that are being released. Let me just see if I can refresh this. So we have top of the rock nyc.eth. Someone just registered that for 0.01 ETH. All right. We have auctions just started for private feeds.eth. Obviously.eth. And Katsung.eth. Okay, so someone initiated those auctions. These auctions don't initiate themselves. A person has to initiate the auction for it to actually start. Fishpool.eth was just recently registered. We have Powerful.eth registered for 0.33 ETH. An auction was started for ClintEastwood.eth. Is that person's name Clint Eastwood? I don't know. Porngrill.eth. GameLife.eth. CUDad17.eth. Wow. I mean, this is just kind of funny. SurveyCenter.eth. I mean, this list is unbelievably long, if you could imagine. And this is just one place. And if someone's not thinking about these, then there's going to be no way for everyone else to be, knowing about them. Because who's going to, say this was your brand. Say Initech was your brand, or say, you knew what Initech meant, because I don't. And someone's just, registering that, and that's like maybe a brand, and you have an opportunity now to know about that because you got to see it in this list. So the link for this is going to be in the description as well, and all the links for all the different web pages that we went over are going to be in the description for you to click on if you take a look around. Long video, a lot of information. I just really wanted to get this information out to you because it's critical that people know about this now. The whole point of Nick Johnson and the whole team creating the ENS system infrastructure in this auction style format and making it so it took 8 weeks for all the names to be released was so that in their mind everyone in the world would have a fair shot at getting the domain that they wanted, the domain that was right for them in a fair way, so that if there was a conflict, people could bid on it. And this didn't account for privacy and trademarks, but that's impossible. So they just left it to market dynamics and for the market and the community to work itself out. But the point is that this only works if you have the information. If this takes a year to roll out and no one finds out that it's rolling out until 2 years later, then it's still, that's sort of pointless. So for this to be successful, we need as many people as possible to know that this auction is happening. We're only 50% of the way through of all possible variations of every possible domain being released. There's a 50% chance that your industry term, your brand term, your personal name is still available. And probably an additional percentage on top of that, because just because of, 50% of all the domains have been released, that doesn't mean that all 50% of those domains have been started an auction or have concluded their auctions. So I think you actually have a higher than 50% chance from the time that you're watching this video right now. Unless you're watching this video after a couple days, then you're probably past the 50% mark. So, and if you're watching this video years later, then man, I wonder how things have evolved. Comment below. Let me know how things have evolved, or let me know what you're looking forward to. Let me know what you're interested in. What do you think about this system? What do you think about the ENS domains? Are you going to purchase one for yourself or for your business, for personal or for professional reasons? What are your questions? What are your concerns? I want to know. Comment below. Pound that like button. Share this video. Tell your friends about what you're interested in. Be involved in the community. Sign up for websites. Subscribe to Minting Coins. Thanks for showing up, everybody. I have more videos on the way. Stay tuned. I'm glad that together we're minting coins.